Welcome. Oh, that's loud. Okay, hi. Hello. Welcome to the USF Symphony Orchestra's second concert of the semester, Concert Fantastique, which is a really cheeky name. Originally, we had three pieces. I just want you to know this. Three pieces prepared that had the word fantastique in them. And then some hurricanes came through and changed a little bit. So now we only have one piece that has the name fantastique in it, but it's such a fantastic word that we kept it in the title of the concert. So we're going to present two works to you today. What's nice is both of them tell a story, and they're both programmatic music. So if you know that, these are composers that are inspired by something that's sort of extra musical. They're inspired by literature, or art, or nature. And in this first piece by Smetana called the Moldau, he's inspired by this wonderful Bohemian river, the Moldau, or the Vltava. It's very specific, and so I want to tell you just a little bit of the story so that you can listen for that. So it's going to start with just a little trickle of water, and that's the two flute players. You're going to hear this little stream starting to grow, and then the clarinets will join them, and then the river gets a little bigger. And then finally, when the rest of the orchestra comes in, we're kind of in the river, we're floating on the river. Eventually, we're going to float down to a little peasant wedding. I imagine that's like a hoedown, like in a barn or something exciting, where there's some dancing happening and people having fun. Probably a little booze going on for 21 and up only, and they're having a good time. And then we're going to leave the wedding and we're going to go to a little fairy village. So you can hear this when the beautiful harps come in, these beautiful high notes in the strings. There's all these little fairies along this sort of bohemian. Just put yourself in this incredible countryside. Eventually, we'll go back out into the big river. We'll encounter some rapids, and then we have to end the piece. So then we end the piece, after the rapids. But we don't fall off. We're okay, I think. You'll hear the flutes. They kind of scream these notes, and I think that's someone who may be scared that they're going to fall out. But they don't fall out. So you're going to hear that. This is a really wonderful piece, and I just want to say, before we get started, I'm so proud in advance of this orchestra. This is such a strange semester. We all know this with the hurricanes and all that, and they've worked so hard. So I just, in advance, want to tell them thank you so much for all your hard work, and we're very, very excited for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. hopefully no one floated off, or got captured by a ferry, or got married. You know, well, I mean, it's okay if you did. But anyways, we're going to play our second piece of the program, which is in 5 movements. This is a piece by Hector Berlioz called Symphonie Fantastique, the namesake of the program. And this is another program piece. In fact, it's one of the first programmatic pieces. Not the first, but one of the first programmatic pieces. If you don't know a lot about Berlioz, he was a pretty, it might have been fun to be his friend. You know, he was a pretty wild guy. He did lots of neat things. He fell in love all the time. If you read his early biography, and he's talking about being like a 6-year-old falling in love with the neighbor. And then when he's 9-year-old, he falls in love with another neighbor. Anyways, constantly falling in love. So that's exciting. Or maybe not, I don't know. But in 1830, he fell in love with a woman named Harriet Smithson. Now, Berlioz was French, lived in Paris most of his life. His dad wanted him to be a doctor, which he hated. He writes a story about escaping from the morgue, like where they do cut the bodies up. It's like Halloween stuff. Anyways, okay. But he escaped. Anyway, ignore all that. But anyways, he falls in love with this woman named Harriet Smithson, who is an Irish Shakespearean actress. And he goes to see her in Hamlet over 100 times, even though he doesn't speak English. But he just wanted to be near this woman, Harriet. And eventually, they do get married later on, by the way. And then they got unmarried, and then he married someone else. And if you go visit his grave in Paris, he's in the middle, and then Harriet's on one side, and the second wife's on the other. It must be really fun in the afterlife. But he falls in love with this woman, and he decides to write this piece called Symphonie Fantastique. It's about the life of an artist, he calls it. And it's sort of an autobiography. He doesn't quite say that, but we know he's sort of thinking some of this stuff. And you're going to hear 5 movements. Each movement is a little story within the full context of the story. And one of the innovative things that Berlioz did, and this was just a few years after Beethoven's Ninth, okay? Just a few years after Beethoven's Ninth, which is in one sort of universe, if we think about Ode to Joy and all those pieces we know. And then what you're about to hear, it's like a whole different world, just a few years later in Paris. In the first movement, he comes up with this technique called the idée fixe, the fixed idea, which is something that Wagner would do later with sort of some of his operas. But every time you hear a certain melodic element, he's thinking about this beloved person that he meets. I didn't ask you to play this yet, but would you mind playing the solo clarinet from the 4th movement? So this is just a little practice so he doesn't mess up later. We're just going to get it out. No, it's wonderful. It's not going to happen. Would you mind playing that? Listen to this melody real quick. Don't worry about that end. That's going to be explained. It's going to be explained in a moment. Very good job. He's incredible. Anyways, yeah. Totally on the spot, too. So you're going to hear that after an introduction with mainly the strings and some of the winds, basically saying, hey, sit down, we've got a tale for you. And then you're going to hear this idée fixe, first presented by the flute and the violin, first violins. And that's Hector Berlioz, or this artist, discovering this beloved, this person that he's in love with. You're going to hear butterflies in the cello and the bass when he first meets this person. All these things, you're going to hear that idée fixe over and over again as he's sort of fixated on this person. And then he sort of resigns himself at the end of that first movement to, wow, I want to learn more about this person. You know, he just sees him from the room. The second movement, called A Ball, takes place, believe it or not, at a ball. And you'll hear this nice kind of waltz music, and then right in the middle of the movement, all of a sudden it's like through the crowd, he sees, oh, there's that person. So you'll hear the melody, that idée fixe you just heard, you'll hear it in the flutes and the oboes and the clarinets a little bit, kind of hinting at, he's seeing her. So things seem to be going well. And then we get to the third movement. And by the way, we have these 2 wonderful harpists with us in the second movement. It's the only time they play, so they sit here the whole time. Very handsome and beautiful, but just to play that second movement, you know, so it's very exciting. Did you stay there the whole time? With like Cheetos and popcorn, to see what happens, you know, or something? Watching TV? Okay, that's fine, yeah, don't listen to us, that's silly. Yeah, so the third movement called, is the artist finds himself out in the countryside. And you're going to hear this wonderful solo from the English horn, Anna on the English horn, she's over here. It's like an oboe, it's just a little fatter than an oboe, or longer, we should say bigger, not fatter. Anyways, it's bigger than an oboe. And then you're going to hear her calling out into the horizon, answered by an oboe off stage. So basically, like a requited love. Like she says, hey, and then the person says, hi, back. And then we get excited, and you're going to hear the idée fixe in the middle of that piece. And then at the end of that piece, Berlioz starts to lose his mind a little bit. You're going to hear that in the orchestration. You're going to hear some things sticking out. You're going to hear the timpani come in. 4 people, 4 drummers playing on different timpani, which is pretty rare, pretty rare. They're playing, and they're representing thunder, so that we know something's not going well on the horizon. And you're going to hear Anna call out to her love again, but then no one answers. Oh, heartbreak, right? I just saw you, sorry, I saw you really exclaim. You're upset about this. Don't worry, it gets better. So you hear this heartbreak, this unrequited love, and Berlioz at the time, this was a different time, but he dreams that this artist takes a lethal dose of an opium drug at the time. But it's not enough to kill him, and instead he goes into this wild dreamlike state. So this is the first musical trip, well before the Beatles were doing this, okay? Berlioz was doing this hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And we dream, as the artist, that we find ourselves being marched to the scaffold for a terrible crime, and we don't know what's happened. We don't remember doing anything. And you're going to hear us marching to the scaffold. You're going to hear the crowd excited for the guillotine. All these things happen. And at the very end, you're going to hear that wonderful clarinet solo that we just heard a moment ago, where the artist, whose head is on the chopping block, listens and thinks of his beloved. And then, as you heard, it got cut off a little short, and that's the guillotine coming down. And then you're going to hear the basses go boom, boom. And you can imagine that's the head bouncing around, or something like that. So it's happening. And then in the final movement, I promise this is a fun story. In the final movement, the artist wakes up and he finds himself in the underworld, in a very scary place. And the strings are using all kinds of extended techniques and cool things. They're going to play with the wood part of their bows. They're going to play these really psycho Bernard Herrmann type sounds that we know from the Hitchcock film. Again, hundreds of years before, or 150 years before Hitchcock did it, which is exciting. You're going to hear all that, and he finds himself, and he notices, he hears that melody again. Except it's not his beloved, it's a witch singing the melody, and his beloved has turned into this witch, and there's this crazy bacchanal and this wild things happening. You're going to then hear the Dies Irae, which is of course from the Mass, the Day of the Dead, the Requiem of the Dead, and then you're just going to hear the orchestra have a really good time for about 8 minutes and play really loud, and it's really, really, really exciting. I don't know how it ends, other than he finds himself in a not great place, but we do get the Mass, the Day of Wrath Mass, and then it's very exciting. And then that's it. And then Berlioz went on to do all kinds of great things and was a fantastic guy. But if you ever are bored and you can't sleep at night, read about Berlioz. Trust me, you'll thank me for it. There's all kinds of fun stories. So enjoy this piece of music. Again, 5 movements. And I just want to say one more time, because I won't talk at the end. I'm just so proud of this. You're about to find out this is a piece that's a serious piece of music. It takes a lot of work, and they're playing so well. So you should be proud of them if you're family and friends. If you're just here to watch, you should be excited that this is happening right here in Tampa, University of South Florida. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, orchestra. And now we present Hector Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique.